With day one of NFL free agency starting to wind down, I want to go through my Niners free agency grades and take a look what San Francisco has done so far, the two players they have added to their roster, and some of the players who they have lost. You are watching the San Francisco 49ers Report. My name is Chase Sr., and you know what I need you to do. Go on down, hit that subscribe button, because if you want insightful, informative, thought-provoking, and entertaining Niners coverage every single day year-round, I have you covered right here on the show, so lock us in. As for the moves that the Niners have made, a silent opening to the free agency period for San Francisco, which leads me to this question. Are the Niners secretly rebuilding? They're definitely resetting a little bit, and they're retooling the roster. They've had a little bit of an organizational shift as far as spending money, and the philosophy behind how they spend those dollars is something that John Lynch talked about. There's a little bit of a shift as far as the power structure within this Niners organization, with Jed York wanting to be more cutthroat with negotiations, John Lynch giving more power, Parag handling the contracts, and Kyle Shanahan going back to coaching the team. But to start free agency, you expected the Niners to maybe make some more moves, and that's not to say they're not going to do that. But it seems as though everything that they've talked about is being backed up by their actions, that they are canvassing this roster, they're gutting some salary, they really want to get younger, and they are simply not going to overpay in free agency, as evidenced by the moves that they made today. They signed tight end Luke Farrell to a 3-year, $20.25 million contract. They gave him $11 million in guaranteed money, and they are bringing back running back Patrick Taylor, who's going to be a backup ball carrier, but mostly a special teams player. Luke Farrell has some of that special teams ability as well. And Farrell hasn't done much as far as catching passes in his career. He was a 5th-round pick out of Ohio State. He spent his first 4 years with Jacksonville, where he's never been an off-targeted tight end in the receiving game. What he has done is what I talked about earlier when we were live and when we broke this signing down. He is a blocking tight end who's one of the top blocking tight ends in the National Football League, albeit a small sample size. And when he was asked to block as a pass protector, he fared well at around 100 snaps. When he was asked and thrust into the role of being a run blocker, he also performed well there. And you think about what the Niners missed last year. They moved on from Ross Dwelly. They moved on from Charlie Warner. And right when this signing happened, I had laughed because Ian Rappaport said, this is a huge move for San Francisco. It's not a huge move, but it might be an important move to how they operate as an offensive unit. And that's utilizing 2 tight ends and or a backup tight end who is capable of blocking. And Luke Farrell is a very good blocker. George Kittle is also entering the final year of his contract. You have to think about that. And this is a rich tight end draft class with the NFL draft coming up at the end of April. And so don't focus on the total dollars here. Focus on the guaranteed money and focus on the fact that last year without Warner, without Ross Dwelly, the Niners really struggled with tight ends who could block outside of George Kittle. And with the Niners moving on from Deebo Samuel, they're going to want Kittle to catch more passes, and they're going to need a tight end to block a little bit more. I don't love the move, but that, I think, is the thinking for San Francisco. The other move is another move on the periphery of this roster, and that's San Francisco bringing back Patrick Taylor, who with Green Bay didn't get a lot of carries. More of a special teams player. Last year, didn't get a lot of carries until injuries ravaged that position. Then when he did have to run the football, he did okay, but he is going to be more so a special teams player. Keep in mind, this Niners special teams unit in 2024 was one of the worst special teams units in the National Football League. And Patrick Taylor and these acquisitions here, the 2 that the Niners have made, should go a long ways in helping the Niners special teams unit. So Luke Farrell, Patrick Taylor, going to help out in their own respective ways. So I want you to grade the Niners signings here. A, B, C, D, or F. Let me know down in the comments section how you think the Niners have fared on day one of NFL free agency. And if you've wanted the Niners to go all in, you're not going to be happy with the results today. And it doesn't make a lot of sense to me either, in a way, because if you give Robert Saleh some of the most money to be this team's offensive coordinator, and you know you might lose him in a year, and you're just going to make these mundane moves, it's an interesting strategy, no doubt about it. But what John Lynch said at the NFL Combine was eye-opening. He passed along his thoughts, the organization's thoughts about needing to reset, get younger, save some money, and shed some salary. And it looks as though that's what the Niners are doing. I would not expect a big splash in free agency as far as handing out top dollar to a player or players. A lot more to get to here on the show. Our deal, thanks to our friends at Fanatics, something that we want to plug and tell you about right now. You have seen me wear this coach's polo right here on the show during a lot of the watch parties. You can get yours today. I got mine for $80 back in the day. You can get yours for $43. Head to chatsports.com/49polo and get yours today. We'll put that link down below in the comments section and in the description of today's San Francisco 49ers report. The Niners losing a lot of players this offseason and to start free agency. Deebo Samuel traded to the Washington Commanders. Jalen Moore signing with the Kansas City Chiefs. Elijah Mitchell also signing with the Chiefs. Talanoa Hufanga signing with the Denver Broncos. Aaron Banks got a bag from the Green Bay Packers. Joshua Dobbs going to New England to back up Drake May. Charvarius Ward signing with the Indianapolis Colts. In the process, the ex-Niners, who we just talked about, obviously outside of Deebo, who has that currently existing contract, have signed for a total of $223.5 million elsewhere. Clearly, other teams saw talent and value in these players, and other teams were willing to invest in these players. And we'll go player by player here in just a moment, but these are the moves that have happened to lead to the $223.5 million with other organizations. Aaron Banks gets $77 million. Charvarius Ward gets $60 million. Talanoa Hufanga, $45 million. Jalen Moore, $30 million. Joshua Dobbs, $8 million. And Elijah Mitchell, $3.5 million. And Chip, we can go through those moves on an individual basis here. With Jalen Moore, the Chiefs are signing him after he filled in well for Trent Williams to be their starting left tackle to protect the blind side of Patrick Mahomes. We had talked about how he could get starting tackle money. That's exactly what happened here. 2 years, $30 million, $15 million per year, 21 and a quarter of guaranteed money. The Chiefs are banking on a player who hasn't played a lot, but played well in place of Trent Williams to improve an offensive line that got dominated by the Philadelphia Eagles in the Super Bowl. And they're banking on continued improvement, and if that happens from Jalen Moore, they get him at a pretty good rate of $15 million per year when you see tackles making between 20 and 30. For Talanoa Hufanga, he's signing with the Denver Broncos. 3 years, $45 million, $15 million per year, $20 million in guaranteed money. Vance Joseph is one of the top defensive coordinators in the game. That Broncos defense was really good last year. I can't wait to see how Vance Joseph utilizes Talanoa Hufanga. The Niners would try to hide him at times at the safety spot because he's a little bit of a liability in coverage. He makes up for that, though, playing with great instincts, great feel, high football IQ, very cerebral, and because of that, he's always around the ball. Intercepting passes, pass breakups, forced fumbles, making game-changing plays. TFLs, sacks, you can use him as a hybrid linebacker. He's not quick enough to use as a slot corner, but you can use him all around the field. And even though he's barely played the last 2 years, he's still in his mid-20s, and he's a former All-Pro. The Broncos saw value there. For Aaron Banks, he gets more than $19 million per season on a 4-year, $77 million contract with the Green Bay Packers. I don't blame the Niners at all. I would have never paid Aaron Banks this salary. He is a good player, making great money. He's coming off kind of a up and down contract year, I would have paid him $8 to $10 million. Green Bay is giving him nearly 20. We talked about this possibility happening after the Tom Pelissero report, where he said that Aaron Banks could get between $18 and $20 million per year. Now, I don't think the Niners are going to miss him. I think they can upgrade in the draft. What is of note, though, is that the Packers don't spend a lot of money in free agency. They also do a good job of identifying and developing offensive linemen. They saw a lot of value in Aaron Banks. Will they be able to make him a better player than what the Niners were able to do? Keep your eyes on that. We knew that Charvarius Ward was going to leave, and if you were watching our live show today, we'll be live again on Tuesday. I said once Carlton Davis signed for $20 million per year with the New England Patriots, that was a great sign for Charvarius Ward because he's a better player than Carlton Davis. And we're talking about a player who had a down year in 2024, mostly due to a family tragedy, which led to him having to step away from the game of football and then having to deal with the aftermath of losing his 1-year-old daughter in just a heartbreaking fashion. He had said, every time I come back to Northern California, I'm reminded of what happened to our family. So you knew he wasn't going to come back to the Niners. You also knew in a weak, thinner cornerback market, he was going to get paid. And that's exactly what's happening. He's getting $20 million per year to sign with the Indianapolis Colts, 3-year contract, $35 million in guaranteed money. I think he's more of the player that he was 2 years ago when he was a second-team All-Pro, when he had more than 20 passes defended than the player last year. I don't think it was a matter of him declining. I still think he has plenty left in the tank. I think that his head wasn't in the game. Easy to see why. I think he gets back on track for a Colts defense that needs to get back on track as a unit. Joshua Dobbs signing with the Patriots. He's moved around a lot over the last few years. Now he signs a 2-year, $8 million deal. Mike Vrabel is the head coach. Drake May, bona fide number 1 quarterback. Dobbs is a good quarterback to bring into that room, and they get him at $4 million per year, $3.8 million guaranteed for the astronaut. Pastronaut is also what they call him. He studied aerospace engineering at Tennessee. Elijah Mitchell signing with the Kansas City Chiefs. 1 year, $3.5 million. And when healthy, he's been productive. Unfortunately, the closest he came to playing a healthy season was in 2021 when he nearly ran for 1,000 yards and missed a lot of time. Since then, he's barely played. Didn't play at all in 2024. The Chiefs are clearly trying to go cheap at the running back spot, probably losing Isaiah Pacheco, while hoping that Elijah Mitchell can stay healthy. And if he can stay healthy, might be a productive player. So that's $223.5 million of former Niners who are getting those dollars to play somewhere else. Something else that's notable here is that after the Patriots signed Josh Dobbs, the Niners are the first team to reach the max of 2026 compensatory picks. They are getting a 4th-round pick back for Mooney Ward, a 4th-round pick back for Aaron Banks, a 4th or a 5th for Talanoa Hufanga, and potentially another 5th for Talanoa Hufanga. The departure of Joshua Dobbs to New England is canceled by the signing of Luke Farrell for now, because the Niners were going to lose a compensatory pick, and that would have been like a 7th-round selection. So I guess the best way to dissect and explain what the Niners did today, if you wanted them to go all in, it was very disappointing as far as how they opened up free agency. This is an older roster that has become very expensive. The Niners, again, trying to get younger and clear some money. They still are a really talented team, but I don't think they're close to being Super Bowl contenders. So that's unfortunate. If they are trying to set themselves up for the future, they're doing that by getting younger, focusing on value, not overpaying, and they're getting some compensatory picks. And over the last few years, they have led the NFL in compensatory picks. And what does that allow you to do? Draft cost-controlled assets who will be cheap and affordable throughout the duration of the rookie contracts. And so I would give the Niners like a C grade, Maybe you steep down to a D. It's a little bit too early to tell. It's very early in free agency, only day one. But I just don't see how this Niners team can be Super Bowl contenders. And it's unfortunate because they may have missed their window by choking that game away against Kansas City. Let me know your grades down in the comment section. You can shoot me a DM on X or Instagram at Chase_senior. I put out so much Niners content on those social media platforms.